Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Harebrained Games. We're continuing our series on games for Christmas of 2017. We finished recently the light games, the ones that were more family or casual oriented, and now we're going to do a series on the top games of 2017 for medium games. Now when I say medium games, I mean someone who is maybe not just akin to playing twice, 3 or 4 times a year, but someone who plays games generally maybe monthly, maybe a couple times a month, or who isn't afraid of learning rules and, wants something a little bit meatier, maybe a little longer game time. Typically medium games take a little bit longer to play. And so we're going to get into those that I found this year that really just hit the mark in a big way. Most of these are from 2017. Some of them are from 2016 and bled over into 2017 as I played them. All of them are ones where if you want to get together a group of people and play a game for 2-3 hours, and then, nobody's really afraid, or none of them are like, I just want to, play games to chat, but they really want to get into the game and invest themselves. These are games I think really hit the mark. And with that, let's get started with our top medium games of 2017 for Christmas. Alright, first we have a game called Near and Far. It is the second in a series of games, second or third in a series of games, by Ryan Laukat. And the first one was Above and Below, which had kind of a story element and had resource gathering story element. This is the next level, and it really takes it up a notch. This is the closest thing to a role-playing game without actually being a role-playing game in my mind. And by role-playing game, I mean where you're taking a character and building up attributes over time across a campaign. Almost like role-playing games that are not board games, that are actual what they consider technically role-playing games. Now in this, you're playing on maps, and those maps are actually in a book. You're actually playing on a map inside a book. There are, I think, 11 maps total, and on these maps you have kind of a trail. There's 2 parts to the game as you play. There's a lot of pieces. And from the first look at it, it might seem daunting because you have all kinds of resources. You have your gems, you have swords that represent how well you are in fighting, which is not a prime component of the game. It's just another component in the game, another aspect of the game. So this is not a war game per se. You have coins, which count. You have extra characters you bring into your posse to play. And there's 2 aspects that are interesting. There's the town aspect and there's the adventuring aspect. And what's interesting is that the town aspect you can go to and you can spend your turns. Each turn, everyone takes a small turn. There's a very small turn, like I go this way, then it's your turn, and you go here, and this turn. There's the whole town aspect, which has like 6 different things, actions you can take in the town, at the saloon, at the mines, etc. But the real meat of it is you're trying to get out to the adventure part, because that's where you really gather resources, get your stuff, like be able to really do actions. And the whole I'm out exploring happens. Other people could be in town, you could be out exploring, you're kind of racing to go, I really want to get, I want to get the most points. It's really, at the end of the game, it's a victory point game, but it really doesn't feel like it during the part when you're playing it. It really feels like you're immersed in this grand adventure, and it gets better and better. Not only do you have just the 11 maps that you can play across, but each character that you can play has their own sort of sequential hidden, like, legendary mission kind of thing too. So you do get a lot of play value in Near and Far. Recommended over multiple sessions, even like play during Christmas or schedule a once a month thing. Near and Far. Next, we're going to have a tournament at Camelot. Now, why is this game, which doesn't seem that big, and I've already described it as kind of a what do you call those games? A trick-taking game and stuff. I didn't put it in the light games. I could probably have borderline put it on the light games, but because of the extra rules that it takes, I put it in the medium games. But this is a grand sort of melee game that's fun to play, and you will learn as you play the special powers of each character that you're assigned, and you get into battle by trick taking of sorts. It really is a nice adventurous kind of experience. Artwork's great, the gameplay is great. It really melds that Arthurian legend into a game, and after the first game or into the second, people are going to get it like that, no big deal. Tournament at Camelot. Next, a departure from the average stuff to Cold Water Crown. This is a fishing game, and it's not your average fishing game. It's actually a kind of a single worker placement game where you are moving a particular piece around to do an action on a map that has different lake waters and ocean waters to try and catch fish. It is a derby. You are in a contest, as you would be if you were trying to catch the largest fish at a given contest to see who can catch the largest fish. It's a set collection game. You're trying to collect certain sets of fish, which grant you more points. Once again, this is all about points, but it really immerses you in the theme of fishing. It's not simplistic in that regard. It really does. You have bait. You use your bait. It's the color of bait that helps you get different kinds of fish. You have a tackle box. This one, the first time you go through it, it's a little weird because you kind of have a removal action and a placement action that kind of trips people up a little bit, which is why it too is not considered just a simple game. But Cold Water Crown, if you want a break from your normal game, or you have someone who's a fisherman but isn't afraid to say, oh yeah, I don't mind, I'll play a board game too, as opposed to someone just, let me take my axe to it, whatever. So Cold Water Crown is one of the games. Also a single player if you wanted to play it by yourself, or nobody wants to play with you at Christmas because they're dousing the eggnog on their heads. All right, and next is another game, an excellently named game, like best board game name of the year. It is called Royals. Royals is really simple. It's actually probably simpler to play than it is to tell you how to play. This is unopened, that's why it's a little shiny, but imagine, if you will, like a Ticket to Ride in a game where, if anyone's played that, it's like you collect colored cards and you use those colored cards to lay down the same colored trains. Well, here you're kind of doing the same thing, but there's a little bit more bidding and vying for control over areas. It's 3 ages of areas, and it's not complicated at all. It's actually really simple once you start playing it, but it's getting over the top of that setup and the different color. Like, it wasn't as simple to introduce as Ticket to Ride, we'll put it that way. Nevertheless, and I recommend this with 3 players at least. I don't think 2 players it would go well, but you are having a grand time trying to take control over different areas of the map. It really is simple in the end of it, and it won't take long. Once you get past the first age, everything else is the same. Second age, third age. That's why it might be a tad bit too long for the game that it is, but still. Great entry, The Royals, and on a good discount now on Amazon. Finally, our last in the middle of the pack of medium games is a game that took me by surprise. It has the best, if not the most unique, game components of the year, and it is called, oddly named, Photosynthesis. That's right, beautiful artwork. My gosh, I want to go take a nap under that tree. Photosynthesis is about using light as a weapon to defeat your opponents by getting the most trees planted and growing those trees, and then harvesting those trees to get basically victory coins. Why is it always victory points and victory coins? Anyway, not always. There are games that break away from that, but by and large, a lot of things are about collecting points. That's the nature of gaming right now. But what's interesting is your trees, you plant trees, you grow them, you harvest them, but you're trying to, here's where the strategy part is. This is where it gets nasty. If you think trees were kind, you were dead wrong. Because you and your opponents are trying to set up your trees in such a way that you are blocking other trees that are smaller than yours from getting light. Because if they don't get light, they don't get points to spend, or they don't get powered to be able to spend points to do things like harvest and plant and grow seedlings and whatever. It's the sun moves around the board, this octagonal board. Every turn it's moving around, and as it turns, it shines light in a direction. And if you can get your trees situated just the right way, really is abstract, but it doesn't feel like it when you got the trees going on. It will shove light over, and it will your big trees will block someone else's medium trees and block their small trees, and then it'll be like, so like one round you might score some major points, but then a couple turns later, like, crap, I gotta prepare because I positioned my trees to get the most sunlight from this direction, but I didn't do a good job of getting them ready in the other direction. And when I say trees, I don't mean little tokens that look like trees, not at all. No, I mean actual tangible trees, like trees, little trees, big trees, mega trees, in the different shapes and sizes. And so it's really wonderful to play. It kind of feels like a stylistic Bob Ross painting. Although we've already covered Bob Ross. He has his own game, so he can get out of here. And that's it for the medium games for Christmas that are recommended. All of these are available at Amazon.com for outlets. Cool Stuff Inc. Probably is your best bet. MiniatureMarket.com. All of these can be ordered. Matter of fact, those last two are probably where I would personally go, unless you had Amazon credit or something, because they give you the best prices you can get online. Offline, Mock's Boarding House in Bellevue, Washington. Zulu's in Bothell, Washington. Just to name a few places where you can go and pick up these games. Also, as always, if anyone has specific questions, please post them in the comments. I will gladly answer any questions anybody has about board games because they are precious to me. Anyway, thanks again, and we will see you next time with another episode of Harebrained Games that covers heavier games, games that take several hours to complete or are very involved. And so we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.